Since then we know what it is to fear the Lord, we try to persuade others. What we are is plain to God, and I hope it is also plain to your conscience. We are not trying to commend ourselves to you again, but we are giving you an opportunity to take pride in us, so that you can answer those who take pride in what is seen rather... I'm getting loads of feedback. I'm sorry. I'm lost now. We are not trying to commend ourselves to you again, but we are giving you an opportunity to take pride in us, so that you can answer those who take pride in what is seen rather than what is in the heart. If we are out of our minds, as some say, it is for God. If we are in our right mind, it is for you. For Christ's love compels us because we are convinced that one died for all, and therefore all died. And if he died for all, that those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for him who died for them and was raised again. So from now on, we regard no one from a worldly point of view. Though we once regarded Christ in this way, we do so no longer. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, and the old has gone, and the new is here. All this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ, and gave us a ministry of reconciliation, that God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting people's sins against them. And he has committed to us the message of reconciliation. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God.
Thank you very much, Susan. So here we are, third session. Let me just remind you again of those words that we heard right at the beginning from Mark. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled with the measure of all the fullness of God. How wide and long and high and deep the love which Christ has for his people, the love that changes everything, the love that breaks boundaries, the love that breaks depths, the love that breaks heights, the love that will not stop or give up. The love of Christ for his people. And so because of that love naturally sort of spills out, doesn't it? And as we heard from Nat, it spills out to our love for one another. But there is another dimension. We have the love of God that we share and give to one another. But actually, it's a love which overflows out into our community. That's why we had our reading from 2 Corinthians 5. 2 Corinthians 5, 14 and 15. For Christ's love compels us, because we are convinced that one died for all, and therefore all died. And he who died for all, that those who live should no longer live themselves, but for him who died for them and was raised again. It's just like a bottle rocket. Do you know bottle rockets? It's like this little video.
All right.
It's falling.
That didn't work, did it? You heard it? It's not that important. It's just don't worry
right.
about it. Hey ho, this could be. We've got a few more videos. We'll see what happens there. It's fine. You do have the recipe for a bottle rocket on your handouts. So this afternoon, when you get home, you can make your own little bottle rocket of what's going on. Because a bottle rocket is really simple, isn't it? You add in your vinegar, your baking soda, and all of that. And the reaction inside causes the explosion outwards. The reaction inside the bottle causes the explosion outwards. The bottle is compelled to move. And the same is true of us. Because of the reaction inside, because of the love that Christ has for his people, we're compelled to go out. The Apostle Paul is right there saying, look, I feel like I have to go, like I'm being forced, not against my will, but as the very response of God's love. Because of the love of Christ, we are compelled to go. And I guess for many of us here, we know that. But how do we feel about that? Do we feel compelled? Is that a word we would use? Do we feel that the reconciliation that God has wrought? And this is a big and serious question. Because of that, do I feel compelled to save the lost? Do I feel compelled? Do I feel compassion for those who I know who aren't Christians? And that's a big and serious question. I guess for some of us, we would all say we believe that. But sometimes if we're being honest with ourselves, whether we always feel that might be a different question. And sometimes I wonder if we feel that way because we view the gospel in a different way. We view it a bit like this. I've got chocolate. I'm feeling quite generous. I've got 2 boxes of Maltesers. So there you go. You can just just take the box. Just go. Just pass it around. Off you go. This is where you should sit in the front row. There you go. Just off you go. Just pass them around. Take as many as you want. There's loads. Well, I say there's loads. There probably isn't enough for everyone. Oh, no. But that's kind of like that with chocolate, isn't it? That actually, if you've got lots of it, you're kind of really happy and you're really generous. You go, no, I have some. Take as much as you want. If you've got like a little treat-sized Mars bar, I might have that one for myself. But that's okay, because chocolate, it's nice, unless you're on Lent and you're giving it up, but it's not essential. If you're at the back, if you miss out, I'm sorry, you probably won't starve. You probably, you might feel a little aggrieved with me, but you won't be, it's not a disaster. And sometimes we sort of think the gospel's a bit like that actually, okay, sometimes I'm generous, but if I miss out on telling people, well, it's not a disaster. It would be nice if people heard about Jesus. It'd be nice if they came to faith in Jesus, but actually it doesn't matter too much. That's not really what the gospel is. The gospel's not chocolate. It's oxygen. And actually, when we frame it in those terms, we suddenly realize that actually things are different. It's not kind of a nice add-on if we can have it. It's essential. Now, if you're wondering about chocolate, I've got more boxes here, so you will get some at the end anyway. But the gospel is oxygen. It's not chocolate. That's why we see at the end of our passage there, 2 Corinthians 5, 20 to 21. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you, on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. Because God made him who had no sin be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. We are all Christ's ambassadors. We are all his representatives through whom he makes his appeal. And that's a task we must take seriously as individuals and as a corporate whole, as a church. That's why we've been running the Lent course, looking at the soul-winning church. It's why we want to help all of us to be a people that share God's love. And so rather than spend the next X number of minutes sort of beating you in the head saying, so go tell, go tell, go tell, go tell, I want to cast a vision of 6 things that we, as a church, we want to try to grow in. And these 6 things, they're not sort of a pick and mix approach. It's not like, well, I like these 2, I can have that one, but I really don't like that one. It's not a pick and mix. It's an orange. It's a whole segment. Now, you can think of this orange, or you might prefer to think of this orange. It's really up to you. But the point is, you get the whole thing. These are 6 things that we all want to grow in and all move forward in. And they're on your handouts in front of you. So here's the first thing. We want to be a prayerful people. A prayerful people. Imagine that if you had a telephone number that you could call any time, any day of the week, and at the end of the phone, there was not some cheesy hold music, but someone who would answer. And not just someone who would answer and could sort of listen and make nice sympathetic noises, although they can, but actually can do something about the situation you're talking about. Could actually make a real difference in the situation, in other people, or even yourself. If you had that phone number, would you call it? And of course, there was no cost to it either. And prayer is better than that. It's better. Because we're not just talking to some random call center that we don't know. We're talking to our Father who knows you, who loves you, who knows you better than you know yourself. So why do we try and struggle on our own? Why do we look at others who are not Christians and go, well, I wish there was something I could do? There is. We can pray. You can pray. And I don't want to repeat the Lent course, but if you're on the Lent course, we spoke about this idea of praying for 2 for 2. 2 people for 2 minutes every day. Half the time it takes you to brush your teeth, hopefully. Just a really simple thing to say, I'm going to pray for 2 people for 2 minutes every day that they might come to know Jesus. And we're going to do that. We might even share those names in our home group and say, these are the people that I'm praying for. Maybe in our home group, you could just give 2 minutes of your prayer time to doing that. And then the God who is able to do more we can ask or imagine will do more than we ask or imagine. Something else that we want to do as a church is to add prayer to our normal activities even more and more. And the single biggest time that most people from the community come in to have contact with Jesus is a Sunday. That's the time when most people come into our church building to hear of Jesus and know of Jesus. So starting tomorrow at 9:30 in the vestry hall, we're going to pray for 15 minutes. 9:30, 9:45. We're going to start sharp at 9:30 and finish sharp at 9:45. If it's a standing room only, brilliant, we'll move. But we as a church want to pray for people. We want to pray for our Sunday services, and then 4:15 till 4:30. We'll do it on a trial to see how it goes. But actually, we want to be a church that prays, to say, look, our Sunday meeting is when people meet Jesus, both Christians and people who aren't Christians. So let's be a church that lifts that up in prayer. So please, if you can, come and join us tomorrow, the next Sunday after. We want to be a prayerful people, praying for people individually and praying as a church. That's segment number 1. Segment number 2, a holy people. I don't know if you've been to the Wealden Downland Museum. It's a fantastic place. There's a little picture on your handout. It's a wonderful place. It's got all the houses you can go in. You can even take your dog around, which is a wonderful thing, except the cooking bit. They don't like that. But when you go there, you're going into a place that's giving you a real-life example of what that house looked like, of what that time looked like. You kind of walk in and you think, this is a bit like what it was like then. Well, as Christians, we're called to be different. We're called to be a holy people. And every Christian is a real example of the difference the gospel makes. Every Christian. Even if that is no different at all. You are still an example. See, we want to be a holy people so that we can show. Actually, look, this is the difference it means to be a Christian. Again, you can follow up a bit from the details from the Lent course if you want the audios from that. They are on the website. But we want to be a people that demonstrate through our lives that actually following Jesus makes a difference. We want to be a holy people, a prayerful people, a holy people. Also, an equipped people. An equipped people. One of the most common things that people say is that I would love to be better at helping others to find out about Jesus. But I don't know how. That's fine. In fact, being honest about such things is a really good thing to do. In a moment, we're going to have a chat about how we might help. But now I'm going to quickly repeat an exercise that we did do at the Lent course. And what we should do, just for 2 or 3 minutes, is just turn to the person next to you in 2s or 3s, wherever you're sat, and just chat about this. My favorite thing about Jesus is... the thing I like about Jesus, the thing I value about Jesus, the thing that's most precious to me about Jesus. Just for a couple of minutes, in 2s or 3s, just talk about that question. Go. Right. I have to draw you back again. Sorry, it's very short. You see, we want to be a people that are used to talking about Jesus. To be a people that do it more and more naturally. The reason sometimes it's so easy to talk about football or Strictly is because we talk about football and Strictly quite a lot. And actually, and it's that sense that just overflows, that natural conversations that we have, they just overflow out. So as a people, it just making it more and more natural to talk about Jesus, not just with people out there, but people in here. Tomorrow, after the service tomorrow, when we have coffee, what I loved about Jesus from what I heard in Revelation 21, little sneak peek for tomorrow, is ... It's practice. The more we practice these things, the more natural it becomes. My favorite thing about Jesus that just flows off our tongue. So how can we be a people where that just comes naturally? But secondly, we also as a church want to help you, to equip you. And this is where you might need those little bits of paper that I was sort of chucking out before. If you've not got some, I've got some more that I can hand out to you. What are the ways that we as a church could help you? A couple of ideas that are not formed, but would it be helpful if we did a series of little 5-minute videos that we did like one a week, that you put up and you could look to watch and engage? Would it be helpful to have little sessions after the service on a Sunday, that little 20-minute gap, to ask, do a Q&A or a question? Would it be helpful to hear people's testimonies? I don't know. All those sorts of things. But I want to hear your ideas because we want to be as helpful as possible to all of you. Of course, there's not a one-size-fits-all. But on your little bits of paper, if you can write on them, then at the end we can collect them in. And we can try and see if there are some ideas that you might have of ways that we can equip you. Whether it's these things I've put on the screen, or whether it's something completely different. Whether it's about gathering people who are all teachers or who are all working in the medical profession or whatever it might be. What are the ways we can help you, to equip you to be compelled to take the love of Jesus out? So I'll give you 2 minutes. Again, if you want to chat, please do. Don't feel you have to do this in silence. There is talking is allowed in this part of the session. So off you go. 2 minutes. Just what would help you, what would equip you to be able to do this job as best you can? Off you go. Where's paper gone? Do I need some? Just one do. Any more bits needed? 1, 2. Any more? More. Right. Just hold on to them. I'll get some sort of basket back of the door. If you could just put them in the basket at the end, then we can sort of just have a look at those and collect all those bits in. And of course, if you think of anything else, that's fine. Just drop me an email, speak to me. But we want to be a church that equips you. And I said that's going to look quite different for a lot of people, depending on where you are. But we will do our best. We want to do as best we can to help you and equip you. So we've been a prayerful people, a holy people, an equipped people, and then an engaged people. An engaged people. Listen to these words from Acts 17. You can see them on the screens. It says, "And he, God, is not served by human hands as if he needed anything. Rather, he himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else. From one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands." In shorthand, God has placed everyone exactly where he wants them in order that they may find him and reach out for them. God has placed you exactly where he wants you in order that you might be a light for Christ, compelled by love, taking Christ to the world. And we want to use this language of being a people who are different, who are holy, who are set apart to take Christ in our words and deeds. So where has the Lord put you? Where has the Lord put you? On your handout, there's a little box that says, "Where has the Lord placed you?" Here's my little Blue Peter moment, one I prepared earlier. It's a bit quick and everything, but I'm thinking the Lord has placed me in my family. So actually, those that I'm with, my spouse, my children, my parents, are the places that the Lord has placed me. Now, you could extend that to your grandchildren. You could think of your nieces, your nephews, your godchildren. All people that the Lord has put in your life. Some of those as the primary responsibility. For many of us, the primary place where we make Christ known is in our home. Family is a place where we've been placed. The Groves, that's the place where I live. The street you live on. Angmering, East Preston, Rustington, Littlehampton. The place you are, the community you are physically embedded in. Your neighbours around you. St Margaret's School, so for me as a parent, with all the other parents up there, for me as the spouse of a staff member, for me as a governor, all those different hats that I wear with St Margaret's School and that sort of community, a place the Lord has put me. Otter's Football Club, the kids play football and the parents on the sideline there. Old friends, now I categorize all kind of old friends together, but you might think of school friends, uni friends, friends from a sports club. I guess I'm thinking of people who I don't necessarily see regularly. But again, you can be as specific as you want. And then football, men's football and other stuff. That's me being quite quick. But just on your own, just think, where has the Lord placed you? What are the places where he's put you? The networks, if you will, that you're part of by God's providence. So just on your own, just take 30 seconds and just jot them down. And just be mindful of the place that the Lord has put you. obviously shouting too much in the Rounders field, so I'm having to drink a lot. And just, you can keep doing that as you want, but just also, the Lord has placed us here as a church in Angmering. It did not surprise the Lord that the population of the village is growing. It did not surprise the Lord that there are new housing developments and that there are still more going on. And actually, as a church, we want to be thinking, what does it mean to help those people coming to the village? How can we welcome them? It's not just as straightforward of just, we do knock on doors, and we do particularly knock on doors, inviting them to the fun day and to Christmas. But it can be quite hard, if someone moves in the middle of March or the middle of October. What does it mean for us as a church to be reaching out to them? I think, if I'm being honest, it's hard to know exactly what that looks like. And I would love to gather a small little team of people to think, actually, we want to kind of think about how we can welcome the people into our village. It might be using social media. It might be actually going onto door knocking. I don't know. I've got ideas, there are thoughts. But our village is growing. And the Lord knew. And in fact, the Lord placed those people there, and he placed us here for a reason and a purpose. So if you want to think with me about how we can reach the new developments more and more, please come and speak to me. I'd love to get us a little group to think, what can we do as a church? So, to welcome them in what we're doing. On top of that, we also have here a community champion, Joseph. Let's give Joseph a round of applause. There we go. Now, Joseph, I'm going to let you talk because you can explain far better than I can. Joseph.
I really think that that question we've just been asked is, where has God placed you? 3 years ago, Suzanne and I were in a position where we were determining to come into Angmering and share with you all our calling from the Lord, or to move elsewhere. And during that period of deliberation, the Lord really pressed upon my heart that Angmering was the place for us to go. He didn't state which church, but he did say that we should consider serving the people of Angmering. We came in 3 years ago. We came to this church a little over 18 months ago. And what's happened? Here I am representing you as a church in the community. So God has placed us exactly where we ought to be, because now I'm your community champion. So what is community outreach, and how is that going to help us reach the community? So I think if we can have the first slide up. Thank you. Community outreach is really all about connecting the church with the local community. It's about meeting the needs of that community through acts of compassion and acts of love. It's also about building relations within it and fostering unity. In short, it is sharing the love of God with the community. Next slide is Mercy Ministries. I think most recently I've had a lot of questions as to what is the difference between community outreach and evangelism. And I think the issue here is that Mercy Ministry is essential to the church's mission, not an optional activity or diversion. In other words, it is the handmaiden of evangelism. We're there to build relationships, to break open the ground, to ensure that we are able to show love and compassion to the community. I could just paraphrase Tim Keller. Deeds of mercy and justice should be done out of love, and not simply as a means towards the end of evangelism. Yet there is no better way for Christians to lay a foundation for evangelism than by doing acts of mercy and justice. I think there's a huge amount of truth in that. So how are we going about that? Well, we have a potential new initiative on the horizon at the moment. And that initiative is partnership with Dementia Care, strengthening the community support systems. And I think one of the main reasons I feel drawn to this and where the Lord has really opened this avenue up for us is when I think of some of the statistics, like 1 out of 20 people over 65 have dementia, and 1 in 5 people over 80 have dementia. So our community requires a church that demonstrates compassion and provides tangible support to individuals facing the difficulties of life's challenges. This includes practical assistance in the present as well as spiritual guidance and eternal hope. Our shared vision is an increased support for the elderly in our community and those living with dementia. That is providing a safe place and an inclusive space. It is initially a 2 to 3 hour get-together where they can receive music and memory activities, singing, arts and crafts, and specialist support and social interaction, a little bit of tea and coffee along the way. And we do this by working in partnership with others, and our new partners are here, right in Angren, building relationships and working with partners that will help meet real needs within our community, sharing the love of God, pushing back the darkness in the people's lives, getting ready for the removal of the spiritual blindness imposed by the enemy of our souls, and helping to set the captives free. So what are we going to do next? I think what we really need to do next is to build a team. And to do that, we're looking at effective outreach begins by recruiting members who are passionate about serving the community. We'll be able to provide training for volunteers to develop the skills and confidence needed to effectively contribute to outreach programs. And by empowering volunteers, foster a sense of ownership and strength that strengthens community ties, enhancing the impact and outreach of our efforts. Sharing the love of God within our community.
Joseph, give a round of applause for Joseph. So that's an area of us as a church engaging with our community, seeking to make a difference in that. And you'll hear more and more as that development, that initiative grows. Another way that we engage with our community is through the Fun Day. 14th of June, lots of people have lots of fun memories of time out in the field with inflatables, that free gift to the village. Well, it's the 14th of June this year. And this year in particular, we've got a special guest, a quick game of Only Connect for you. Wolf, Jet, Hunter and Lightning, what connects them all? Gladiators. Wonderful. This year we've got a chap called Warren Furman, or Ace, who's coming along, who was a gladiator, part of that cohort, who's now a vicar. And he'll be coming, he was trained with Nat, and he'll be coming to run some activities and to share some of his story. And hopefully, got a clip now.
Why is he serving me? Usually when people are wealthy and famous, you can see it because they derive their whole identity from it. They've got the big car, the big watch, and they make sure that you know who they are because that's their identity. But he didn't, this bloke. There's something a bit different about him. Anyway, I'd heard as well that Prince Charles pays him something like 10 grand an hour for business advice. I thought, if I can get him for a couple of minutes and just ask him what the secret is, why does he seem to have a peace and an ease about him that most people don't? Yeah. So I asked him, and he said, do you respect me as a businessman? I said, well, of course I do. And he said, I'm going to prescribe 2 things for you. Will you listen to what I've got to say? I said, yeah, of course I will. He said, right, okay. Number 1, go on an Alpha course. And I just thought, oh no, another course. And he said, number 2, get baptised and come back to me. And I'll be honest, as soon as he said get baptised and come back to me, I thought, oh no, he's a Bible basher. But the strange thing about that was, I thought, but what's he getting out of this? He's got more money than he needs. Why? He's not going to try and recruit me. What's he going to get from that? Yeah. So when I went back and told my missus, she was like, yes, you should go on the Alpha course, and I'll come with you. And I was like, right, okay. So we went on this Alpha course. Does anyone know what an Alpha course is? Yeah. Okay, so essentially, it's for those that don't know, it's a course where you can ask all the sort of questions you ask in the pub on a Friday night after 5 pints, but you don't have 5 pints in there. So you can, I've been into churches and tried to ask, spiritual questions and not really got any answers, no adequate answers. But what I found is over this 6-week course of having a meal and sharing with other people who are searching spiritually, you could make some sense of it and get some answers. And the vicars and curates and that made themselves available. And I think the first thing that shocked me in that is my wife always believed she was a Christian.
And that's just a little clip of his story, a bit of a teaser and a tempter. But actually, he's somebody who's going to be able to share something of his story of faith at our fun day and to kind of help us to be helping our village engage with Jesus. We are to be an engaged people. But fifthly, a people who bring people to Jesus. Now here's really the moment that we've kind of been building up to, I suppose. We've been describing ways that we can pray for people to come to faith. We've been ways that we can be formed as people who are sort of showing the gospel to others. But actually, we need to speak of Jesus. Romans 10:14. But before people can trust in the Lord for help, they must believe in him. And before they can believe in the Lord, they must hear about him. And for them to hear about the Lord, someone must tell them. Remember, this is an orange. We need all parts of this. We need people to hear. I don't want to labor the point. God has a heart for the lost, so should we. Who can we bring to Jesus? Who can we bring to Jesus? That might mean speaking ourselves of Jesus. It might mean inviting them to church. Because actually, this is the place, this is the main place that God uses to bring people to himself. As people come through those doors, they hear his word speak and they see his people. This diverse but lovely family of all ages and stages. The church is the best place to bring people to hear about Jesus. So you could say, do you want to come to church with me? But actually, as we heard from Warren, we also want to do other things to help people, like to run Alpha courses. So after that fun day, on the 18th of June, a few days after it finishes, we've got a 6-week Alpha course taking place. You heard how it was so instrumental for Warren. And maybe we've all got stories here or know of people. But it's a chance we can bring people. And can I encourage you to bring people? Use a bring-vitation. Come with me. Come with me to this. To bring people along so that we can hear about Jesus. We don't lose anything. Because the God's love is high and wide and deep and long. It's not going to change depending on what someone says. We bring people to hear about Jesus. But then lastly, we're a people who serve. A people who serve. In that great hymn, Rock of Ages, in the 3rd verse, it says, "Nothing in my hand I bring, simply to the cross I cling. Naked I come to thee for dress, helpless look to thee for grace. Foul eye to the fountain fly, wash me, Saviour, or I die." There is nothing we can do Nothing we can bring to Christ that he doesn't bring to the table already. There's nothing that we can do that's going to change our salvation. Nothing. We're secured. He loves us. It's high, wide, deep, long. But yet, because of that outpouring love of God to us, our response is to outpour the love to others. So that other great hymn, when I survey the wondrous cross, were the whole of realm nature mine, that were a present far too small, love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life and all. We don't give to gain, we give because we already have gained. We give our time, as we heard in the last session from Chris and Nat, about ways that we can give our time to serve other people. We give our treasure. We heard about that in our gift Sundays. Now, as a vicar, I have no details, and I don't want to know details of people's giving. But I know that you're a generous church, so thank you. But there's the finance group have put together a little video about legacies, about a way that we can keep on giving and use the resources the Lord has given us. So there's a quick little video here for us to watch now, which will hopefully work.
Hello, I'm Neil Giles, and for a number of years I've been chair of the finance group at St Margaret's Church. And I'm here today to talk a little bit about the issue of legacies. You can't have failed to have seen over recent months and years everybody from the Royal National Lifeboat Institution through to the Donkey Sanctuary reaching out to you and looking for you to leave a legacy for them to continue to do their work. And at St Margaret's Church, and indeed the church more widely, legacies are an important part of how we continue to deliver gospel ministry, both here locally and perhaps more widely. Here at St Margaret's, legacies have helped us on a number of occasions in the past, not just for capital building projects, although they contribute to gospel ministry too. We know that we've got work to do right behind me here with the vestry cottage in due time. But it has much more deep and meaningful implications for the gospel ministry here. So many of you will recognise the church hall that I'm standing in front of. About 10 years ago, this building was in pretty poor shape. A legacy, a massive gift from God, arrived at the point in time when we needed to do something with this building. We were fortunate enough to have enough money from this legacy to truly renovate it with good AV and visuals so that it became a real opportunity, a learning centre for us to develop gospel ministry. We run Alpha courses here, we run marriage courses here, we run all kinds of children's and youth work here, welcome suppers. It's a wonderful centre for gospel ministry and a real gift from God. Making a will isn't an easy thing to do, and I struggled with it to begin with. But I have completed that task and I got good advice. Good advice is important, and it's available for you free if you look up free wills on the diocesan website. And you can also get help and advice from the office, from your treasurer, John Baller, from myself, or from Mandy Dukes, our plan giving officer. I hope you find this helpful. Thank you for listening.
It's just another way that we think about stewarding the resources that the Lord has given us. Well, we're basically there now. There's so much to take in there. So much. That we are a prayerful people, a holy people, an equipped people, an engaged people, a people who bring people to Jesus, a people who serve. But let me finish again with these words from 2 Corinthians. For Christ's love compels us, because we are convinced that one died for all, and therefore all died, and he who died for all, that those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for him who died for them and was raised again. Christ's love for you will not change. He holds you, he keeps you, he will bring you home. And because of that security, we're compelled to go, not because we must, but because we may. Now, you might be thinking that what I'm talking about is a bit like the dentist. You know, it's something which we know is good, but I don't really want to do it. Well, can I actually encourage you to think of it this way? It's actually like running a marathon. Yes, there might be bits that are hard. It might be hard along the way. But actually, as you go and as you finish, there is such a deep joy that you go, yes, it was worth it. Yes, there have been times when maybe it's been hard, but actually it is worth it. It is a joy. And it's that joy that running after Christ, running after the lost, will only increase so that we can be a people who run after joy. Christ's love compels us, and it was his joy that ran after you. So let's be a people that follow him. We're short on time, so just very quickly, just on your own, you might want on your back at the end of your sheet, there's just a couple of things there that you might just want to jot down. Is there anything that stood out? Is there anything that you want to take away? I'll give you 30 seconds, and then I'll close in a prayer. For Christ's love compels us, because we are convinced that one died for all and therefore all died. And he who died for all, that those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for him who died, and for them who was raised again. And then the end of Ephesians 3. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen.